So tomorrow is February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably thinking about, last-minute chocolates or dinner plans.
The usual stuff, right?
But if we dig into the history books, specifically the life of Frederick Douglass, that date means something completely different.
It's an act of rebellion, a really calculated one. In fact, it's the birthday he chose for himself.
He chose it.
Yeah. And that's really what our deep dive is about today. We're looking at sources, analyzing his life, focusing a lot on his 1855 autobiography, My Bondage and My Freedom.
Okay.
And the main takeaway is how he used these tools, like picking a birthday or literacy, to fight back against what one text calls the ontological void of slavery.
That phrase, ontological void, sounds really academic, but it's actually pretty simple, isn't it?
It is. It just means the system trying to erase you as a person. It was about forced nothingness, not just forced labor.
And they had strategies for this.
The sources call it chronological ignorance. Masters would deliberately hide birth dates from enslaved people.
So if you don't know when you were born, you don't have a timeline, you don't have a personal history.
Property, exactly. You just are. There's no sense of progression.
Which makes him choosing February 14th such a massive power move. It wasn't random.
Not at all. The texts point to this incredibly specific, visceral memory he had of his mother, Harriet Bailey.
They were separated when he was just an infant, right? That was standard practice.
Yeah, to break those bonds. But he held on to this one little memory.
Story, the little Valentine.
That's the one. He remembered her walking miles to see him, just for a moment, and giving him a heart-shaped ginger cake she had made.
And she called him her little Valentine.
Yes. The biography calls it a beam of sunlight in all that darkness. So by claiming that date, he wasn't just picking a day, he was grounding his identity in his mother's love, not his master's ownership.
He's saying, you didn't make me, she did.
It's his first act of reclaiming himself. And that leads right into the next step, reclaiming his mind.
This is where things get so strategic. The North Star moment.
Right. His master, Hugh Auld, finds his wife teaching Douglass the alphabet. And he just explodes.
But it's why he explodes that changes everything.
Exactly. He tells her, if you teach a slave to read, he becomes unfit to be a slave.
And for Douglass, that was like a light bulb going off. Auld basically handed him the cheat code.
The secret was out. The white man's power wasn't magic, it was enforced ignorance. And Douglass realized, okay, to be free, I just have to do the one thing he told me not to.
And he got so scrappy with it. I mean, the sources describe him running these clandestine lessons on the street.
It's incredible. He was trading bread from his own meager allowance to pay poor white kids to teach him how to read.
He was trading calories for knowledge.
And he'd go to the shipyard and copy the letters off the timber. L for larboard, S for starboard. He turned the whole city into a textbook.
And that literacy becomes, quite literally, a weapon.
It's how he forged his own escape pass. And later, it's how he starts his newspaper, the North Star, to attack the entire system.
Which brings us to a really uncomfortable part of the source material. That 1855 book.
My Bondage and My Freedom.
Yeah, because it just shatters that clean narrative we have, the bad South, good North.
He completely demolishes that myth. By 1855, he's taking aim at Northern complicity. He realized slavery wasn't just some Southern issue. It was a national disease.
The examples are just jarring. He's a skilled caulker, he gets to the North, and he can't find work. Not because he's not good enough.
But because the white workers refused to work with him. It was a caste system, just a different kind. He faced mob violence in Boston, got thrown into Jim Crow cars on trains in Massachusetts.
So freedom wasn't just about crossing a line on a map.
Not at all. He wanted you, the reader, to see that prejudice was everywhere. The North was profiting from the system, too.
His whole life was just this masterclass in resistance. He rebelled into his birthday. He rebelled into literacy.
He just refused to let anyone else define his reality.
It really makes you think about, the forms of gatekeeping we still have today. Access to information, access to education.
We do. And that's why Douglass is still so relevant. I think the one thought to leave everyone with, it's maybe his most powerful line. Power concedes nothing without a demand.
It never did and it never will.
If there's no struggle, there's no progress.
Something to think about.